Flashy headlines about CEO David Solomon abound this week. The Journal reporting Goldman is at war with itself. The Daily Beast publishing a piece titled "Goldman Execs Hate Their CEO Who Won't Stop DJing." But CNBC.com's Hugh says not so fast. While Goldman has had its share of headwinds, there's no indication Solomon is at risk of an ouster anytime soon. Hugh. I don't know. Sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire.
Indeed, and we've been on top of a lot of these stories over the months, so you can understand why we'd be interested in this one. So the reporting out there that the board potentially is reevaluating its opinion of Mr. Solomon. There is a lot to unpack. And first of all, we want to say it is not clear to me that there's any kind of imminent risk of ouster for Mr. Solomon. What I will say, though, is, if you ask the question, is Goldman a happy place to be right now? And you put up the chart there earlier, they're not doing that well. It's because they're the most tethered to Wall Street businesses of trading, investment banking, which have been slow. And there is a slow bleed from a lot of these Wall Street firms where they have to lay off people, sort of these rolling layoffs. That's not happy. Goldman in particular has $1 billion push to cut expenses. And so you have bankers who are used to flying around the world and wining and dining executives who now have to suddenly account for and get a pre-permission for some of their expenses. That doesn't have sort of a lot of happiness around for Goldman. And so, yes, it is clear to me that there are undercurrents of displeasure. We've broken a lot of stories with Marcus and their consumer efforts. Partners are still grumbling about that. They're grumbling about, and this is common, their cut of the bonus pool, for instance, things like that, compensation. And I think the meatiest and most substantial thing that they're complaining about is his leadership style. So when David Solomon came in and decided to become a change agent as CEO, he said, I'm going to be much more top-down. I'm going to be a lot more like J.P. Morgan and a lot of other corporates, rather than their history, which is a partnership in which his predecessor, Lloyd Blankfein, was the senior partner. So relatively slightly elevated above all the other 400 partners who had a lot of sway. And now you have Solomon saying, look, I'm clearly the CEO. I'm not going to bother trying to get consensus from you guys. I'm going to tell you what the new rules are and the rules of the game, and you're going to follow. And that's clearly caused a lot of rumbling. And as you would understand, it has taken the power from some of these partners and consolidated it in Mr. Solomon.
How would you say that people, or that we, or that, how would we grade David Solomon's tenure so far compared with the Lloyd Blankfein or some of the was Hank Paulson before him, some of their predecessors, since it's been a public company?
So Mr. Solomon, he probably gets a B or an A- on the things that you expect him to be good at. Wall Street, advisory, investment banking, trading. They've gained share from other folks, particularly Europeans. When you talk about, obviously, these harder things to do, which used to be Marcus and consumer banking and now is asset and wealth management, which I believe he gets the time to, by the way, execute on their plan and see if it works, that's sort of incomplete, right? And with Marcus, that's probably, something like a C or even an F, because he used up credibility in the past year. He went whole hog into this business and then just as quickly cut bait, as we've reported. So there is certainly, you could say that he's burnt up some of his credibility doing that.
And you might say, or the reporting might be that his departure isn't imminent, but what should we expect his typical tenure length to be? And at some point, if people are agitating for change, maybe they're not going to overthrow right now, but what could that change start to look like?
So, good to remind you, he's chairman of the board, so he's consolidated a bunch of the power. The most likely successor would be his president, Mr. Waldron, John Waldron. So his ordained deputy. And so, and the question is, if it ultimately got to that point, obviously we're not saying it's anywhere near that point, but is there enough space between those two men?
Right.
Is Waldron potentially the person that you could, see in that position? You could argue that he is like Solomon, but without some of the extracurriculars, the DJing, for instance.